Good morning. Shh. No, Cody. Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon. It's 1:32 on Wednesday, July 8th, 2020. Good morning, everyone. Hi. And this is what's going to happen right now because I have my little doggies. I got Cody and Lily. They're up here with me right now. Cody and Lily sitting here. And of course, just as I'm going live, what happens? Barking outside. So they start to bark. And Cody, hi. Hi. Cody's staring at me right now like, what's your problem? It's going to be chaos. It's going to be chaos. You're looking at my huge, massive face on the screen, and I'm so sorry for that. But I wanted to bring you from our, this, you see, this is Lily. My Patriot Supply is sponsoring the video today. You see what's going on in our country right now. Plenty of reason to be concerned. Social unrest is making life super uncomfortable. Could get worse. On top of that, the so-called second wave of coronavirus is coming to devastate our economy. Will we have severe food shortages? Will supply chains get cut off? What if you guys are forced to stay home because you don't want to wear a mask? Don't let yourself be unprepared. Here's what you do. Go to preparewithtracy.com. Start building your emergency food supply. The experts at My Patriot Supply are the only people that I use for my food supply. I have plenty of this food at my house, trust me. Right now, you could save $100 off of a full 4-week supply of nutritious meals the whole family will love. My Patriot Supply makes it easy. Again, go to preparewithtracy.com. The second half of 2020 is going to be a roller coaster ride. Make sure you head over to preparewithtracy.com. Get yourself prepared for the impending apocalypse. Oh, goodness. I know you guys aren't offended by dogs barking. I know. It's not the way you want to run a live stream, guys. It's just not. So I'm happy to be here today. I have a whole ton of things to talk to you about. Figured that I would do a quick synopsis, sort of summary video of some of the things that I've been working on and give you guys an update on where I'm at. I'm going to bring in my Facebook, DLive, Periscope friends. I'm right now streaming live also on CloudHub. CloudHub.com/beans or getcloudhub.com/beans. Make sure you go on over there and sign up for CloudHub. It is absolutely wonderful over at CloudHub. I am loving it over there myself. America's Voice is there too. So you've got Steve Bannon in the War Room and, you got all kinds of shows over there. So it's awesome. Lots of love right back to you over in Michigan. Lots of love in Michigan. I love everybody all over there. Emily Miller. Hey, Emily, how are you? Hi from Oklahoma and Denmark. Amazing. So we're just going to have a little chat. I'm going to fill you guys in on what I've been up to and listen to my dogs bark and we'll go over some news. So I'm researching right now a very big piece. It's been taking a lot of time, like a really lot of time. I don't know how much you guys know about the money behind BLM. Well, it's really not easy to find. And not focusing so much on Black Lives Matter as an organization, but looking into the people involved in Black Lives Matter and what other projects they are involved in. And I can assure you, after some, so far about 20 hours of research, and I'm not even close to halfway done yet, you're going to fall off your chairs when you understand the financial networks behind what's going on here. Yes, George Soros is involved. Surprise, surprise. Surprise, surprise. I know you guys are all shocked. I know you're all shocked to know that George Soros is involved. It startled me. I almost fell off my chair. It's crazy. So look, very big day tomorrow on top of all that stuff going on. Tomorrow is July 9th, which is an innocuous day for the most part, except that it is 1 year to the day that we launched Uncover DC. And I have some really amazing stuff to show you guys what you have all done to help Uncover DC grow. And it has been such a spectacular year full of things that I never thought were possible. And I don't do a lot of bragging about it and kind of showcasing it. I just kind of put the news out and you guys follow it if you like it and you share it if you appreciate it. But we've done some absolutely mind-blowing things in a year together. And it is all you guys. There has not been a dime spent on any advertising for Uncover DC in the entire first year of its existence. And in that first year, we have done some absolutely mind-blowing stuff together. I mean, you'll see tomorrow when I show you guys what we put together for our first year. Really amazing. I'm honored and humbled to be a part of this with you all. Really fantastic. So that's coming tomorrow. Been working on that a lot. And we, as you guys might know, brought on Sharon Black, who is an amazing, amazing woman who has been writing all of our news. So we've got tons of news on the site now constantly, every single day. She's hard at work. And there's a lot of cool stuff upcoming. I have another announcement to make, I'm hoping, tomorrow that has to do with something that everybody's been asking for a really long time, and I'm super excited to deliver, but I'm not announcing it yet because I'm just waiting for one last detail. Damn it. It's killing me. But I'm doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and it doesn't always show. It doesn't always show out in public, but I'm there, and I promise you I'm working hard. I promise I am. Okay, so let's get into news. That's why you guys are here, right? So we had a bunch of we had one decision today in the Supreme Court, but I wanted to show you a resource where you guys can go to really learn a lot of what's going on. It is run by our good friend Harold Finch, who used to have a Twitter account and now still does have a Twitter account. It's a little bit more muted, but he's been banned more from Twitter than anybody, I think, ever. So what he did is started this thing called The Library on Telegram. If you guys are on Telegram, you should join this room because it is literally a constant stream of what's happening. And I contribute in here, and Finch contributes in here, and you don't need to have socials, and you can just go in here and take a look. So if you go in here, let's start today. This is today. We're going to go all the way back. I'm going to show you, give you an idea of what's going on starting today. All right, here we are, July 8th. We get Duckworth. What Tucker did to Duckworth yesterday was pretty amazing. I had every part of me was watching this monologue in just happy that somebody was speaking up. Now, I don't agree with everything that Tucker says, and I don't know that I would be voting for him should he run for office, which is a rumor that's been floated around a little bit. However, he is doing very, very well in the position he's at. Number one, he refuses to cow to the police, the speech police, the cancel culture. So we're going to take a look at this in a second. I didn't have this one open. Bear with me. 6 minutes long, so there's that. We're going to be together for a little while today, okay? Okay. We have some tweets, some random tweets in here. We have Ghislaine Maxwell allegedly has a secret video footage of Prince Andrew. This is from the New York Post. And it's interesting because, Dan Bongino for a very long time, he's been saying that he has information that's not his, that he got from other people, that relates to Jeffrey Epstein and some footage that Ghislaine Maxwell might have gotten while she was with him just to hold on to in case of a, I don't know, situation where they may need blackmail. Accused Jeffrey Epstein accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell allegedly has secret video footage of Prince Andrew and may be willing to share it with prosecutors. Now, this whole entire Maxwell thing, people have been kind of dissecting over the past week or so. And I agree because there's a lot of shady stuff going on here. Now, how long were they watching Maxwell before and eavesdropping and had wiretaps on before they actually swooped in New Hampshire and got her? How long were they listening? A year? 2 years? 3? How long? How long were they waiting? A lot of people have brought up that Berman got let go, and then Jeffrey Berman, who was the U.S. attorney who was leading that investigation, was let go. To some fanfare, less than a week later, we have Ghislaine Maxwell arrested. Amazing. So there's a lot there, but we haven't gotten, so she's been moved now, I believe. She was in New Hampshire. I believe they moved her from New Hampshire. She's supposed to have a video hearing at some point this week or early next week before Tuesday. And once that happens, we'll get a lot more information, because right now we just have the indictment, I believe, and nothing else. So we'll start to learn a little bit more. Remember when Jeffrey Epstein was arrested? There was the fake pictures that were discovered of her, and it was like, who the heck is faking these pictures? Where was she? You know, there is no mugshot yet. Somebody just brought that up. There is no mugshot that we've been able to see yet. I don't need to see that ad. So I'll put the links to all the stories we're going over today in the description box. Oh my gosh, Scott, thank you so much. That was very kind of you for that super chat. Thank you. Wow. Thank you so much for that. And Pete, thank you so much. I'm sorry. I just really generous. Okay. Judge sets arraignment for Ghislaine Maxwell for next Tuesday. She's in a Brooklyn Federal Detention Center. Prosecutors confirm they will ask her to be kept in jail until trial at next week's hearing. That is coming Tuesday. Okay, so Tuesday. That's what I thought, before Tuesday. She is an extreme risk of flight, obviously. She's got over $20 million. It is the Telegram link. Let me just put it. Hold on. Let me put it in the chat here. There is the Telegram link. If you're not in this room, then you're missing out. I mean, it's really fantastic. We're all constantly throwing stuff in here all the time. Date is set for the initial bail hearing and arraignment. Another link here for it in the New York Post. And it is supposedly going to be by video, which is very interesting. July 14th at 1, Judge Allison Nathan, a place for the victims and the public to be. This thread here I wanted to go over with you guys too. Ron Coleman, amazing attorney, has stepped up to defend so many of the people that have been deplatformed over the past several years. He represents Gavin McInnes. Believe in these people or not believe in these people, it doesn't really matter. Their voices were squelched. Gavin McInnes was deplatformed largely, if not entirely, as a result of the efforts of the Southern Poverty Law Center. They sued the Southern Poverty Law Center on his behalf. The SPLC made a motion to dismiss, and they responded. If you read that, you can understand the best way to respond to these sorts of attacks, and it doesn't always work. Laura Loomer was deplatformed by CARE, and Laura Loomer, they also sued Twitter in her case because Twitter was seemingly working with CARE to deplatform her. They have not even responded to that lawsuit yet. There are other kind of claims that could be. None of them have been tested in court yet. Each case has to be decided on its own merits. And a number of people, some of whom's name you may know, there was no claim for them under the law as he understood it. And this thread goes through all of the ways to kind of fight back against deplatforming. And then money is important because these lawyers are not cheap. They're just not. They deserve to eat too. He talks in this thread about how hard it is to sue these platforms and these groups because they use it as sort of a social justice rallying cry. Okay? Google the names of two of the clients that he's mentioned above, Laura Loomer, Gavin McInnes, and search their names on Facebook. You will agree that I'm representing people who have quite justifiably been ousted from polite society, online and otherwise, which has an effect on every step of the process. He left his previous law firm because it couldn't take the risk of being known as the firm that sued Google on behalf of the Nazi Twitter, which is how the social justice industrial complex spun Gab. It didn't matter that the widespread promulgation of the falsehood was exactly why Gab was needed and entitled to legal relief. The more invested in the system an institution is, the more vulnerable it is to this terrorism. Deplatforming is the perfect crime. And he says in here, that's why big-name conservatives on alternative media, as well as publications like The Federalist and NRO and their most popular writers, have been AWOL on the issue, while the most mainstream Democrats never feel pressure to disavow their most fringy wingnuts. The right is cowed. That is so true. Do you ever see anybody disavowing Ilhan Omar, who we'll get to in a minute? or the folks from BLM who say they're trained Marxists and they want to destroy the country entirely. You never see it. They're afraid to speak out against those people, they won't do it. They won't throw one of their own under the bus. But on the conservative side, if you're perceived by the people that you hate, these conservatives all despise the left. But if the left decides to call me, which has been done several times, a crazy right-wing conspiracy theorist, white supremacist Nazi, which is so far from the truth, it's not even funny, people won't stand up and defend. People will ostracize people the left targets. It's really something else. It's even more insidious than it seems, says Ron. Not only will conservative pundits not speak out in support of deplatforming victims, interview them, or even acknowledge that it exists, their silence reinforces the perception that the victims are outside the mainstream. I will tell you that I understand this. And I understand how scary it is for people to take the risk of talking to people who have been deplatformed, but it is necessary. You know, nobody wanted to support Alex Jones when he was deplatformed because it's Alex Jones, the crazy conspiracy theorist. I don't care what he says. I defended Alex Jones and was against his deplatforming because he doesn't deserve that. He has a voice too, and if you don't like it, don't listen. Same thing with Laura Loomer. I had her on the podcast last week. We talked about it. I voiced some of what I was concerned about at the time that she said, and she explained it, and we talked through it, and it was a great interview. You have to listen to it if you haven't already. So these, they become toxic to everybody because they're afraid of what the left thinks. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Look at what they did yesterday, CNN, just for argument, for example. Let me see if I can. This wasn't in my list of things. Michael Flynn posts video featuring QAnon slogans. They did a whole hit piece on him. In a video posted online over the weekend, President Donald Trump's first national security advisor, Michael Flynn, is seen using phrases and slogans that are hallmarks of the baseless QAnon conspiracy movement. He also tagged his post with a QAnon hashtag. Followers of QAnon believe there is a deep state within the U.S. government that's controlled by a cabal of Satan-worshipping pedophiles. I mean, just writing that has to make these people feel stupid. According to the conspiracy, the cabal is largely run by Democratic politicians and liberal celebrities, and Trump is trying to take them down. I mean, they couldn't misrepresent it more. I'm sorry. Okay? Flynn posted the 53-second clip to Twitter on Saturday, which was the July 4th holiday. In the video, Flynn leads a small group in reciting a generic oath of office, the same oath taken by members of Congress. After finishing the oath, Flynn says, "Where we go one, where we go all." His post included the hashtag take the oath, which he recently added to his Twitter bio as well. These elements of Flynn's post, the oath paired with the catchphrase and hashtag, are distinctive to the QAnon movement and are used widely by its followers, experts say. Who are the experts? Who are the experts? Dun-dun. I wonder who the experts are. I personally have had 3 mainstream media organizations write hit pieces about me because I talked about Q for 3 months a few years ago. It's just the way it is. So there's a small but growing contingent of Republican political candidates who have been linked to the conspiracy group and are on the ballot this November. The GOP nominee for U.S. Senate in Oregon openly touts QAnon and posted her oath-taking last month. She's a long shot to win, but other QAnon-friendly House candidates are likely to have. Look at what they're doing. Now you have to ask yourself. Sidney Powell pushed back on the claim, saying it's just because we like the saying. Whatever his intentions were, it doesn't really matter. Do you guys care what CNN has to say about you? I mean, there are experts out there, apparently. I don't care. Listen, I don't talk about this anymore because there's enough people doing it and it really doesn't need my input and I have plenty of other things to do. It's been a controversy for years and years. People still attack me over it today. You guys do your thing. I don't have any ill will feelings towards anyone. I don't like the herd mentality, sort of cultist sort of a thing that happens sometimes, and I see it. Do I scold people over it? No. I mean, I'm just like, live and let live, whatever. I mean, whatever. I don't get involved because it's just not something I get involved in. But do you really care what these people have to say about you or anyone? I don't care. So they go on to say that they don't even know whether or not he was actually doing that or not. I'm just saying. It's all right. Okay? That's all. Okay. So that was the deplatforming thread. That's where that all came from. So the upside is that a cadre of smart, lithe, committed, creative, and young, moderate, but ideologically committed conservatives of every race, sex, orientation, and creed has coalesced to do the work the mainstream conservatives won't. Thank you. It's absolutely true. Keep fighting. We are a force to be reckoned with. It is just, look at that. Look at the coverage that look at it. Okay? They've dedicated, Marshall Cohen dedicated, I don't know, I'm just going to see how many words he dedicated. He spoke to experts, guys. I mean, he went out and spoke to experts. So it must be something serious, right? Look at these patriots. Anyway. And this wasn't a Q video or anything about Q. It came up, whatever. You guys have plenty of places to talk about Q. I just don't have any desire to get into it. I was just making an example. So then we have Tucker Carlson. Here he is. He did a whole 8-minute intro about President Trump. He showcased several long clips of the speech and then contrasted it against how the the legacy media has covered it. Let's take a look at this real quick, shall we? I'm going to leave that up.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Happy Monday. One of the great unsolved mysteries of the past 4 years is why certain types of people with certain types of jobs hate Donald Trump so much, really hate him, obsess over him, think about him when they wake up in the morning, would hurt him if they could. Why the fixation? It has nothing to do with the reasons that normal people sometimes get annoyed with Trump, the bragging, the short attention span, the rants on Twitter. None of that justifies hatred or obsession. Plenty of politicians have unappealing personal qualities. Teddy Kennedy killed a woman, and he's still a hero to the Democratic Party. You know, the reason the ruling class despises Donald Trump is because they can't control him. Trump throws the bit. He refuses to mouth their lyrics. He will not obey. At any moment, Donald Trump is liable to come out with something that you're absolutely not allowed to say. Borders make countries, for example. China is our enemy. Whoopi Goldberg isn't that funny. All of it undeniably true, and that's the point and the problem. Trump's words hang in the air for all to see and to assess, and they are therefore a massive threat to people whose livelihoods depend upon fraud and lying. Trump is the most dangerous to his enemies when he tells the truth. In fact, they're his enemies precisely because sometimes he does tell the truth, and he did it the other day. On Friday, the president gave a speech at Mount Rushmore. He spoke eloquently about the BLM riots and what they mean for the country. Here's part of it.
Make no mistake, this left-wing cultural revolution is designed to overthrow the American Revolution. In so doing, they would destroy the very civilization that rescued billions from poverty, disease, violence, and hunger, and that lifted humanity to new heights of achievement, discovery, and progress. To make this possible, they are determined to tear down every statue, symbol, and memory of our national heritage.
Our national heritage, it's something we can be proud of. This country defeated both fascism and communism. Our revolution inspired democratic revolutions around the world, from South America to India. Even today, pro-freedom demonstrators in Hong Kong, where the stakes are very high, wave the American flag to express their hope and their defiance. Our economy and our schools created the world's first and the greatest educated middle class. Our engineers and our scientists invented the airplane and the transistor and virtually everything else in modern life. They also transformed agriculture. They ended famine on most of the globe. Our richest citizens became famous not for the palaces they built to themselves, but for the philanthropy they gave to others. Andrew Carnegie built countless libraries for the poor. John D. Rockefeller eradicated hookworm in the South. These are not the deeds of an evil country. They're the accomplishments of a great country. Yet, as the president pointed out, American school children learn virtually none of this. Instead, our curricula have become a toxic mix of lies and omission, all of it designed to poison our children against the country that formed them.
Against every law of society and nature, our children are taught in school to hate their own country and to believe that the men and women who built it were not heroes, but that were villains. The radical view of American history is a web of lies. All perspective is removed. Every virtue is obscured. Every motive is twisted. Every fact is distorted. And every flaw is magnified until the history is purged and the record is disfigured beyond all recognition.
Every word of that is true. If you have kids in school, you know it may even be understatement. What is happening in our classrooms right now in 2020 is a crime. It is long past time that a sitting president said so. And then Trump kept going. Toward the end of his speech, he defended the core promise of America, the principle this country was founded on. It's the only principle that will allow America to survive going forward, a nation where all citizens are equal from birth and as a result enjoy equal rights and equal protection under the law. It's the America our Declaration of Independence describes.
We believe in equal opportunity, equal justice, and equal treatment for citizens of every race, background, religion, and creed. Every child of every color, born and unborn, is made in the holy image of God. We want free and open debate, not speech codes and cancel culture. We embrace tolerance, not prejudice. We support the courageous men and women of law enforcement. We will never abolish our police or our great Second Amendment, which gives us the right to keep and bear arms. We believe that our children should be taught to love their country, honor their history, and respect our great American flag. We stand tall, we stand proud, and we only kneel to Almighty God. This is who we are. This is what we believe. And these are the values that will guide us as we strive to build an even better and greater future.
We almost never play sound bites that are that long. Politicians rarely give speeches worthy of it. Most what they say is garbage, and we don't want to repeat it. But Friday's address at Mount Rushmore was probably the single best speech Donald Trump has ever given. It was a roadmap for his reelection message, but more than that, it was a roadmap for the country itself. Equality, decency, pride in our nation. Those were the themes. Naturally, the liars on television deeply hated every word of it.
There's really a myth of America, that this idea that America treated people well, that they treated men and women equally, that we founded this country just by our own wits, that is actually a lie.
Much of American political propaganda over the course of our history has tried to completely erase, ignore, lie about the ugly parts of our history.
Mount Rushmore isn't exactly the innocent ode to our founding fathers as described in our textbooks, and it's high time we disrupt that false narrative that far too many people believe. Here we are, celebrating the birth of a nation, independence for white men, at a site described by one Native American activist as, quote, a symbol of white supremacy.
If you spent the rest of your life trying to locate, to identify the worst people in this country of 330 million, you couldn't get a purer distillation than what you just saw. These people are liars. They're the same people who spent the last month telling you that the riots you saw live on television were actually peaceful protests against racism. That was a lie. They knew it was a lie when they said it.
This part of it is hysterical. Watch.
But they said it anyway in order to undermine a country that they hate. Yes, hate. America deserves to be in flames. That is their view. And this weekend, they said it essentially out loud. Mount Rushmore, they told us, must go. It is illegitimate, just like the nation it celebrates.
President Trump will be at Mount Rushmore, where he'll be standing in front of a monument of two slave owners and on land wrestled away from Native Americans.
With these founding fathers, with these monuments that we don't want to forget, what do we do with them?
Get them. But what do we do? I was talking about a conversation I had with some friends who are on the left and said, well, people don't want to see them anymore because they hurt their feelings. We should put them all in a museum instead. And I said, in 3 weeks to a month, we'll be having a conversation about why the museums are being burned down. It never ends. It continues over and over and over. So this finishes in about another minute.
Maybe they don't stand in the town square, but should they stand anywhere? Should we demolish them?
It's been polluted. It's been desecrated by putting these slave-owning, racist, horrible, horrible white men in 60-foot statues on this wall.
When you look at this place, this land, the Black Hills, the history is a dark one.
But it's not just the land that had been stolen in a place like Mount Rushmore in the Black Hills. It's the theft of history, the theft of the narrative.
It's worth reminding folks that the man who carved the monument behind me had deep ties to the KKK.
The mother of all photo ops, Mount Rushmore. And we know why this president just can't resist going there.
So Mount Rushmore is now a symbol of evil, just like your nation. Where's this all going?
Someone said, yuck, who has liberal friends? People who have neighbors that they try to get along with and change their hearts and minds.
As writer Matt Taibbi put it, quote, CNN even put independence in quotes when describing the holiday. This will end with Wolf Blitzer dressed in a dashiki pulling the switch to dynamite the Statue of Liberty, end quote. Pretty funny, but suddenly it's getting easier to imagine that happening.
Yes. Yes, it is. And then there was the 5-minute long clip about Duckworth that set the internet on fire. Oh, she's a veteran. She fought for a country. She lost her legs. How dare you? How dare you? Speaking of which, counter that by saying this, okay? We have General Flynn, who was absolutely mercilessly persecuted by the most powerful government in the entire world. The entire resources of the FBI turned to be used against him in a complete and total setup. 3-star general dedicated his entire life, along with many members of his family, to defending the United States of America. You cannot talk badly. You cannot say anything good about him. He is not to be respected no matter what. Then look at Dan Crenshaw, who they mock all the time, who lost an eye. I don't agree with him on everything either. But they don't give him any respect. But if it's a military member like, oh, I don't know, Alexander Vindman, who just stepped down today, then they get all the respect in the world. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you, criticize Duckworth? How dare you?
Played you long clips from the president's recent address at Mount Rushmore. It may have been the best speech Donald Trump has ever given. It was succinct and clear, and it was
link this below for you, because I don't think I'm going to play 6 more minutes of Tucker, because it's not the Tucker show. But people came after him, hardcore. Now, here he is, Alexander Vindman on Twitter with his little Tootsie Wootsy profile picture, or picture that he posts here. Alexander Vindman, I have argued from the beginning, like, what is he doing? Why are you, what? Today, I officially requested retirement from the U.S. Army, an organization I love. My family and I look forward to the next chapter of our lives. Let's think about this for a second. During the impeachment sham, I talked about Alexander Vindman a lot, and I published Lieutenant General Hickman's statements about what he said about Alexander Vindman when he served overseas. And I talked about how he was likely the one who leaked the quote phone call and tried to change the transcript to match it. But when he tried to change the transcript, as he admitted he did, the transcript was locked up in a secure area where things like this normally aren't placed. I wonder why they were placed there this time. Do you guys remember that? I do. SCOTUS. Big win for businesses with conscientious objections to the ACA contraceptive mandate. Little sisters, we hold that the departments had a statutory authority to craft the exemption. They're not held to it. Another one, religious employers see the rulings in Our Lady of Guadalupe and Little Sisters as vindications of their right to pursue their religious missions free of statutory penalty. I'll have some pieces going up on this today. Wins in the Supreme Court today. Then we have this one right here that I wanted to go over. Bear with me. Where'd it go? That's not it. Shoot. I had this one up because I talked about it already. Just a week or two ago, we talked about Perkins Coie being outed in this court case we're about to discuss as saying that the reason why they hired Fusion GPS was to be able to have grounds to challenge the results of the 2016 election. Let's see. Here it is. Perkins Coie engaged Fusion GPS to provide information to challenge 2016 election validity. In a UK court paper, steel firm Orbis claims Perkins Coie engaged Fusion GPS to provide information on Russian interference in order to challenge the 2016 election results. Ilias, in recently declassified testimony by the DNI, obfuscates the reason for hiring Fusion GPS, but does not slam the door on early discussions of Russian interference. Ilias met with Steele, Simpson, and others in late September, early October of 2016 to discuss work completed for Fusion GPS and Ilias. Ilias admits he was aware of leaks of dossier to the press and allowed those leaks to occur. This will be linked below. Please read it. I highlight in the transcripts of this very case that we're going to talk about right now what happened there. A British judge ruled Wednesday that Christopher Steele violated a privacy law by failing to check the accuracy of information in his infamous dossier, ordering the former spy's firm to pay damages to two businessmen he wrongly accused of making illicit payments in Russia. Justice Mark Warby of the High Court of England and Wales ordered Steele's firm, Orbis Business Intelligence, to pay about $22,596 in American currency to Aven and Mikhail Friedman as compensation for a violation of Britain's Data Protection Act in 1998. This memo of the dossier 112, that was the memo, it said it was all about the Moscow server in Trump Tower and these guys supposedly paying off Putin, and they ruined his entire business. Their entire business was destroyed by Christopher Steele in this dossier memo, none of which was true. And in British court, they have now proven it. I have little reliable evidence, says the judge, as to who exactly was the ultimate client, but I have enough to find that Perkins Coie was instructed by one or more people or organizations within the upper echelons of the Democrat Party concerned to ensure Hillary Clinton's election as president. The supposition that the Clinton campaign was the ultimate client is in line with the FBI note of July 5th, 2016, which records Mr. Steele telling the FBI that Orbis had been instructed by Mr. Simpson of Fusion and Democratic Party associates, but that the ultimate client were the leadership of the Clinton presidential campaign. So I will put this in the description box for you guys too. It's going to be a very heavy description box. SCOTUS ruled Wednesday that teachers who work at church-run schools may not file discrimination claims against employers. The religious education and formation of students is the very reason for the existence of most private religious schools. There's a lot of the religious decisions coming down in the Supreme Court today. We will have them documented for you. And we have, there's one more thing. This one here in Iowa. The Iowa City Council approved 5-2 to rescind a resolution that prohibited weapons inside public buildings and transportation in order to comply with Iowa law. This is a big Second Amendment ruling in Iowa because they wanted to stop people from carrying inside because they were scared. And huge two-way victory here. Anti-gun college town and home of University of Iowa forced to amend city regulations and edicts to match state laws. Iowa state law has a preemption clause that states our state law preempts all local ordinances preventing anti-gun extremists from infringing our rights. Iowa City just made the choice to not get sued into ruin and admits pre-exemption rules. Here is Joe Biden saying that the police have become the enemy.
Military equipment for law enforcement. They don't need that. The last thing you need is an up-armored Humvee coming into a neighborhood. It's like the military invading. They don't know anybody. They become the enemy. They're supposed to be protecting these people. So my generic point is
but
that...
do we agree that we can redirect some of the funding?
Yes, absolutely. And one of the things that we also need to be doing is surplus military equipment for law enforcement. They don't need that. The last thing you need is an up-armored Humvee coming into a neighborhood. It's like the military invading. They don't know.
You know, I wish I knew where Joe Biden was during the Obama administration when libertarians were screaming about a militarized police force. What happened to him? It's like upside down world. I don't like the way this is edited. And then this is the recent commercial from the Trump campaign.
You have reached the 911 police emergency line. Due to defunding of the police department, we're sorry, but no one is here to take your call. If you're calling to report a rape, please press 1. To report a murder, press 2. To report a home invasion, press 3. For all other crimes, leave your name and number, and someone will get back to you. Our estimated wait time is currently 5 days. Goodbye.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
And so here you are. That's the library. And if you're not in there, you're missing out. Really fantastic in there. So I want to see the total rise. Let me share the link again in the chat for you guys. Again, you download Telegram. There is a desktop version of Telegram, as you can see. And once you download it and set up your account, go click that link or look for the library 2_2 and you'll find it. And all this stuff is in there. I mean, it goes back and back. You could search by hashtag. He puts hashtags in here. We put hashtags in here. So it's really a great place to be. There were other stuff I wanted to talk to you about too, real quick. I told you we'd be a little bit today, and we will be. Not too much more, but some. I started digging through Jason Leopold. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him. He writes on BuzzFeed. Let me just duplicate this real quick. I want to show you. Jason Leopold is this guy right here. Excuse me. He is called a FOIA terrorist, and it's true because he has filed God knows how many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of FOIA lawsuits. and he gets tons of documents, and then he sometimes writes pieces about the documents that he gets, and other times he doesn't write pieces. But either way, he releases them for us to look at. And here is the 8th release in the Mueller investigation. And there are 366 pages of very highly redacted interviews in this bulk section or bulk release. And I read through all of this yesterday while I was working on the rest of stuff. And I found something super interesting in here. Super interesting. So this is, again, a production of Mueller 302s and interview summaries. You could see them all listed here. And then you get into it, and it starts off in the middle on page 31 of Stephen Bannon's interview. But I found something super interesting in here, guys. I took a print screen of it. Don't mind my ruler. Look at this. Date of entry. Oops. 8/13/19. Investigation on 7/29/19. I will wait real quick. Can you tell me what is wrong with this picture? The investigation, the interview was done on 7/29/2019. And it was documented on 8/13/2019. It was entered. What's wrong with that? When did the Mueller probe end? In May? When did the Mueller probe end? Thank you. Very good, guys. Very good. I'll show you it in this release here. Hold on. So when you do research like this, and I know all of you guys do too, and you are reading, like, this is something that you would read. Here it is. Date of entry, 8/13/19. You would read this, and you can't do a piece on this. I mean, I could tweet out a photo of it. Typically, I would just kind of put this in my toolkit and hold on to it. But it says here, blank was interviewed at his residence by FBI Special Agent blank. After being advised of the identity of the interviewing agent and the nature of the interview, provided the following information. Blank was advised the interview was voluntary, and if he chose to answer questions, he had to answer truthfully. More recently, blank business has redacted several years ago, redacted. As an aside, redacted. In or around the spring of 2017, redacted after speaking with. You see, it's all redacted. I don't know if they're even talking about anything Trump related here. But this interview was conducted after the Mueller investigation was over. So who are they talking to? And what is it about? And it has anything to do with Mueller whatsoever? If it does, there are some questions that need to be answered. What is this? What is it? What is it? There were still ongoing cases. I want to know what it is. That's all. Just an interesting thing to show you. Then, I'm just bouncing around a little bit to wrap this. It's been 48 minutes. Okay. Then, I wanted to show you what Twitter did. Twitter got rid of the ratio. They got rid of the ratio. Look, now it says retweets and comments. Like this. So now if this is ratioed, you have no way to know because they're combining how many retweets it has with how many comments it has. Now what they added to is this, where it would say 254 with comments, and it would give you a list of who retweeted your tweet with comment, which is a very valuable tool. Very valuable, by the way, I have to say. And then it'll give you the without comments and just list them as normal. But now it's combining them, so you can't see if there was a ratio or not, which I thought was super interesting. And then one more thing that I wanted to talk to everybody about. A lot of, like, I posted this yesterday. Twitter is useless to me if no one sees my tweets. A lot of people commented on this. Some people were a little angry that I said this. Their thought process is, Tracy has however many followers, more than most people. So who the hell is she to complain about no people seeing her tweets? I don't know why that means I don't have a right to complain when I have, I don't know, several 100,000 people, and I want to get information out to them, and maybe less than a percentage of them are seeing it. So just so that everybody knows, everybody's talking out there, I am on Parler and I am on CloutHub at Tracy Beans on both platforms. So I'm there, and I am active on CloutHub, not so much on Parler. But I don't know how, I can't figure out on Parler how to click on something and actually read the comments. Every time I click on the comments, it makes me echo it, and I don't want to. I just want to read what people are saying underneath. It's just a little bit confusing. But anyway, so the reason why I did this, if you'll look at this, 2,000 retweets and comments, 10.3 thousand likes. And if you compare this to any of my other tweets from the past couple days, you'll see that I get maybe like 200 retweets on stuff and like 100 likes. And it's not because I'm not saying things that people agree with. It's because nobody's freaking seeing them. So it seems on Twitter, when you call that out, all of a sudden you're released into, from your jail cell that they've put you in. And this happens. From the minute I tweeted this, when I tweeted this yesterday, I had 217.3 or something like that. Look at my follower count today, 218.4. If you say it, it's like I have this documented. So look, if you see me say this, don't just automatically assume that I'm some whining little stuck-up pretentious biatch or something. I'm not. I'm not doing this I'm not doing this because I want people to follow. I want people to get information. That's it. End of story. I want people to get information. I think that I have something of value to offer, and a lot of people also seem to as well. And I want them to at least be able to see what I'm saying. And that's that. So I have several other examples of this happening on Twitter. Several of them. And I've been documenting them for months now. So I'm not doing that because somebody said like, please don't turn into Bill Mitchell. Hold on one second. All right, I got an important phone call. I got to wrap it up. Thank you guys so much. If you want to support me on Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/TracyBeans with a Z. Subscribestar.com/TracyBeans with a Z. You can go to uncoverdc.com. Support us there as well, please. We couldn't do this without your help. Thank you guys for hanging out with me for about an hour.